What's going on, guys, and welcome to a Rust update video about some upcoming updates that are coming in the game called Rust, produced by Gary Newman and his team, the creators of Gary's Mod. So if you know, obviously, I post tons of Rust on my channel. I post daily Rust, and the background footage that you're actually seeing right now is footage from separate episodes. A lot of action going on. Obviously, the game has its gems, it has its moments and that kind of stuff, kind of like DayZ. A lot of slow-paced gaming, and then all of a sudden, it just picks up, and you're like, holy shit, and that's the gameplay you're seeing in the background right now. So today, I wanted to talk to you about what they are working on currently. As you know, if you follow the game Rust, they haven't patched in a while. There is a bunch of things that they post on their website at playrust.com. This is where all this information comes from. All of it is 100% confirmed, although I'm going to have some insight on some of the things that might not be true and might be incorrect, but that's just my opinions. First, I wanted to talk about why there has been no updates. Basically, what they said is Rust is in a prototype. Literally, the game is bare bones, but it still is playable, and they have 10,000 plus lines of shitty-ass coding. This is what caused a lot of the frame drops, a lot of the problems with just like the game in general, a lot of shit going wrong. I know frame drops when rendering in buildings is a huge issue for me. Recording frames as a YouTuber is difficult as well, especially when you're trying to crank in 1080p. So generally what they're trying to do is fix that coding, trying to rewrite that code down to about 2K mediocre codes instead of 10,000 really bad codes, allowing them to actually update much quicker, so the break is actually justified later on with a lot more updates. Good code means more updates. That's really what they're getting at. And it really does take a very long time to write code, and it's extremely tedious, and they do have a small team. They're not going to hire 5,000 people. They're going to keep it to their small group of people that they trust to do very good work. Although, they are hiring right now. If you do want to try and get on the team and you're a certain age, and I guess if you live in the area, you can go apply on their website and see if you get a job. That'd be pretty sweet, wouldn't it? So instead of just telling us that about the code, they wanted to tell us a few things about what's upcoming, what you guys can look forward to, and the biggest thing that they seem to show is the new UI or GUI system, which is the inventory system, obviously, when you press tab. It looks extremely clean. It'll pop up on your screen. It already probably is on your screen. It looks really clean, very easier to manage. I don't really have a problem with the current UI system. But I think this one looks better. It looks like it will probably work better. There shouldn't be as many problems with losing inventory, possibly some glitches that may cause you to lose all your items. I know if you had a full inventory at one point, and you crafted an item, it would craft that item and then delete it. It was like the weirdest thing ever. It's happened to me a bunch of times. But I'm really looking forward to a new UI system, just a fresh, clean look to the game. That's one of the things that they're teasing, and then there's a bunch of other things that I actually found. So when you go to the Play Rust admins page, which they linked on their Play Rust website, they show something called the item editor. I don't know if this is for community to send in items that they edit to look better and that kind of stuff, or if it's like something that the admins go in and they just rework some of the stuff every once in a while. But this shows a ton of things that aren't even in the game yet. It shows new items like blueberries, apples, armor parts, empty shells, bear traps, weapon parts, spoiled chicken, bear meat, bone knives, everything like that. And I bet they're going to keep adding to that list every single day. A few things that I'd like to point out in that list that I just said: blueberries and apples. That's really cool. When you first spawn, go look under a few trees, and maybe you'll find a blueberry or an apple or two, and you won't have to kill a pig right away. You can actually scavenge for fruits and vegetables, or like it's kind of like the hunting and gathering aspect. You can go gathering, you can go hunting after you gather, and that way you're all set. Also, they have the armor parts thing. They have armor parts, I think 1 through 6 or 1 through 5. This might mean there's going to be a new type of armor added, or they're thinking of doing something where like you find armor parts, you put them together, and it gives you a piece of armor perhaps. Not completely sure. I think it might just be a new armor that's going to be introduced. That is also just my opinion. Along with the armor parts, they also have weapon parts, which I would just say the same thing. Maybe if you get all the weapon parts, you can build an M4, or maybe it's like a new weapon or some kind of new crafting system for weapons. Not quite sure at this point. Then there's another thing that has to do with crafting, which is the empty shells. So they have an empty shotgun shell in the item crafter, and the way I look at this is now maybe you're going to have to find empty shells to craft ammo. That way you don't just kind of like magically, spontaneously poof up like a shell to put your shotgun in. You don't have a random casing that just comes up from like 2 metal fragments. You actually have to find the casings, which is actually going to bring it to ammo being much more rare, and you actually have to conserve it instead of like now, you get an airdrop with 255 5.56 shots in it, and you're all set for like an entire week. Now they start introducing a few more items to kill enemies / maybe kill some animals. They have the bear trap that was added in. It's not in the game yet. Everything that I'm talking about right now, by the way, guys, is not added into the game yet. This is just off their website, what they're talking about, what's in the item editor that I found. But bear traps is probably a trap that you can place on the ground. They step on it, it clamps their leg. Maybe it will do the hindering effect where, like, if you jump off a tall rock, you kind of, like, get broken for a second. Your leg breaks or whatever, and you kind of have to walk really slow for, like, I think it's a 60-second or 90-second period. That would be really good in, like, a fighting scenario. Just put a bear trap behind your door, guy steps on it, he can't run away, you light him up, steal his shit. Really cool. Then there's also the spoiled chicken, the bear meat, and the bone knife. So I don't see the bone knife being a melee weapon per se. Perhaps being able to be used as a melee weapon makes sense because you can use the hatchet for a whole bunch of things as well as a melee weapon. But what I see the bone knife being is essentially just like craftable, and you use that to gut your animals. They have bone fragments in the item editor, which is probably what you use to make a bone knife. Probably like bone fragments and some wood and maybe a stone or two and something, and maybe you'll be able to make a bone knife. But then they also start introducing the different types of meat. Everybody was like, why do you get chicken off a bear and chicken off a pig, and you get chicken off of a rabbit? What is that about? Well, basically it's a placeholder. It wasn't first priority for them to go ahead and make 400 different types of meats. Like, that doesn't affect their game at all. So they go ahead and they introduced bear meat and spoiled chicken. So spoiled chicken is basically probably if you leave it in your inventory too long, it probably goes bad. You can't cook it, and if you eat it, you probably get really sick like you would if you ate raw chicken. And then there's bear meat, which would probably, I would assume, since it's bear meat, maybe fill you up more, do a little bit of maybe some rads taken away, or maybe adds rads. I'm not really quite sure yet. They haven't told us exactly what it's going to do. But this is open up the things, like maybe you can get rabbit meat. Maybe they'll be crafting a future for something like in 7 Days to Die, where you can make rabbit stew, you can do this, you can do that, and it's just like an infinite amount of foods that you can make, and maybe have some buffs with those foods. So that's about it for the Rust update video. I did this as quickly as possible to crank the information into your head. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Give me your opinions down below. Also, you can find the links to everything that I found in the description. Basically, everything was on playrust.com. You can go check out that website in the description as well. I will also link the things like the admin item editor, the new inventory system picture, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you guys later.